Good morning, everyone. We're so glad you could make it here on these unexpectedly cooler mornings. So good to have everyone here. We don't always know where we're going, but we're together in making our way those ways. If you would, please rise with us as you're able and sing Woyoya.
Everybody, so great to have you here on this maybe sort of kind of potentially rainy day. We need our rain dance. Whether you're here with us on Zoom or in person, we are glad that you're here. I'm the Reverend Lucy Bunch, proud to be serving this congregation alongside my colleague, the Reverend Roger Jones. There's an order, there should be an order of service on the back table there. Are they gone? Ooh, they're getting popular. Maybe there's some at the front. Maybe an usher will hear me and go get some and put them on the back table along with our blue sheet. And those of you at home, you should find a link in the chat box to both the blue sheet, which is our weekly listing of activities in the congregation, and to today's order of service. Our weekly message comes out every Friday via email. You can find it on our website as well. It has news and announcements, a message from Roger or I, lots of ways to get involved. If you're new to us, we're very glad you're here. We want to extend a special welcome to you. We ask that you fill out a newcomer's card either at our welcome table or online at the link that's in your chat box right now, so that we can send you our weekly message and we can get to know you a little better. After the service, for our Zoom crowd, we have about 12 minutes in a smaller breakout rooms for a chance to chat and get to know each other and welcome anyone new in the Zoom zone. Here in person, we'll have refreshments out on the patio, so please stay and meet someone who is new to you. Today, we have a special event after the service. Our Sacramento area Congregations Together Climate Justice team, which is based in our congregation, working on climate justice, is offering a forum on the city's electrification plan. I think it would be very interesting to anyone who lives in the city and anyone who lives in the county, because the world is heading in a direction of trying to release our dependence on natural gas and shift more to the renewable source of electricity. So it will be in the Foz room about 10 minutes after the service ends. So just grab a refreshment and go on and join Marion, Randall, and Ruth McDonald and learn about the electrification plan for the city of Sacramento. And next Sunday, this is the coolest place. We have fun stuff every Sunday. Next Sunday, we have a slightly different event. It's a comedic performance by some professional comedians who have a traveling show sponsored by the National Alliance on Mental Illness, and our UUSS Depression Peer Support Group is sponsoring them here. It's a lighthearted look at depression. So if you need to laugh about hard stuff, right? Isn't that part of healing and understanding, is laughing? So, and even if you're just curious about what it is, please join us after the service next Sunday right here in this space. Finally, I want to let you all know that our Soul Matters small groups are starting up again next month, and registration is closing this week. So if you're interested in joining us, please fill out the registration online. Right on the front page, there's a link, or I will be out on the patio with registration forms, and I will be available to answer questions. So if you're curious and need to know more, come and ask me. If you're eager and want to sign up, come on out and we can get you signed up. They start in the second week of October. So now please check your cell phones to make sure that they're on silent mode to assist. And you folks at home, it's a good idea to do that as well so you don't have distractions during the service. Let us begin.
Thank you, Irina, and thank you, Ludwig. Good morning. Good morning. It's good to be with all of you, whether you're here or with us on Zoom. I'm Roger Jones, and if you have a candle or chalice you're going to light at home, this is the time to get it ready as Jack comes up to light our flaming chalice here, supported by his favorite worship associate. So come on up. The flaming chalice represents our broader Unitarian Universalist religious heritage and affirms our connections to congregations across this country and around the world. Let us kindle its flame now and affirm together the mission of our own congregation here at home. Let us say it now. We come together to deepen our lives and be a force for healing in the world. Thank you, Jack. Jack is one of many people who are here because we are starting a new religious education year this morning, and I'll tell you a little bit what's happening. Soul Kids starts for those in kindergarten through grade 5, and the junior high youth group starts for those in grade 6, 7, and 8. We also have a senior high youth group which will be meeting after services, and we have some wonderful adult volunteers, and we are seeking a few more additional adult volunteers who are willing to be present 1 or 2 Sundays a month. Next Sunday, our program called Our Whole Lives begins. That's our sexuality education program, and the Kids Freedom Club will be happening after the service. We have a new song which Anthony will lead us in blessing our kids and youth and adult volunteers on your way. And Anthony will signal when it's time to assemble out in the welcome hall before you go over to the education building, and then we will see you in an hour.
Slightly new, but we've heard it before. We've sung it a little before. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Lift up your eyes.
Lift up your eyes.
Don't you despair.
Don't you despair.
Look up ahead.
Look up ahead.
The path is there.
Your path is there.
You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love.
I know among us there are many joys, reasons for gratitude and celebration, also many sorrows and causes for concern and needs for prayer. And you can let Lucy and me know by clicking on the link that you'll find in the Friday weekly message, or you can call the office by Friday to let us know of anything you would like mentioned in the service, or if you would like just us to know. Our member Melissa McCampbell writes, I am indebted and so grateful to the many UUSS members and our 2 wonderful ministers who have comforted and supported me in the recent loss of my sister. It takes a village, and this is indeed a special one. We are glad you're part of it, Melissa. Robin Howlett writes that she has been in the hospital and then a rehab hospital after suffering a terrible fall in her home on August 13. She says it resulted in a broken ankle, which needed surgery, broken nose, 9 stitches in the forehead, a concussion, and other injuries. I have a walking boot cast now. If my physical therapy continues to go well, I'm looking forward to being discharged to my home this week. I'm so grateful to have survived this traumatic incident and be able to see a light at the end of the tunnel. We're grateful too, Robin. Now, as we make space for all of the joys and sorrows among us, I invite you to breathe with me. We'll take 3 deep breaths. Each one will breathe in deeply and pause to hold it for a moment and then breathe it out. So let's breathe in and pause. And out. And now, for a second time, let's breathe in, pause, and then breathe out with a sigh. And now, for a third time, breathe in, pause, and then breathe out with a sigh, full of our spirit. Today's words of prayer come from the 1937 hymnal. 25 years before the 2 denominations consolidated as one, the Universalist Church in America and the American Unitarian Association jointly published a hymnal of music and readings and orders of service to be used by churches in either denomination. It's entitled Hymns of the Spirit. So I've chosen to read this prayer of aspiration from the 1937 hymnal. Please receive these words in that spirit. And then after I speak, we will join in a time of silence as we continue breathing together. We are gathered together in this quiet house to seek strength and courage for the coming days. We would again possess our souls in patience and self-mastery and be set free from inward turmoil, unworthy pleasures, and low aims. Here, the world's tumultuous clamor falls into silence. Here, the troubled heart finds rest. Here is cool water from living streams. And here, once more, we commit ourselves to the high tasks that await our hands, to the fulfillment of duties seen in moments of vision, to the building of a nobler life for all humanity. And in that consecration of ourselves, we shall find strength and peace and joy. Amen. And blessed be. Our gift of music this morning is a video of a song entitled Lacrimosa, which means tearful or weeping. This is from an African-American requiem composed by Damian Jeter of Portland, Oregon. And it was performed by a chorus and orchestra this past June at the opening worship of our UUA's General Assembly, and it was led by Dero Farrar, music director at the First Unitarian Church in Portland.
Amen. We're starting a sermon series this morning about the future of Unitarian Universalism. It was inspired by the commission that was charged to review our principles and sources, which are contained in Article 2 of the bylaws of the Unitarian Universalist Association, the association that was established with the merger of the two denominations, Unitarian and Universalist, in 1961. In the coming months, Reverend Roger and I, along with some invited guests, will ponder these questions. In the post-pandemic world, what is a possible future for Unitarian Universalism? What is our role in this changing world? How do we find our way to it? What would keep us from living it out? We think these are worthy questions at this time of upheaval and transformation. So, as our kickoff this morning, we will learn about the challenge and the possibilities of the charge to the Article 2 Commission from two members of our congregation who were delegates to the General Assembly of Unitarian Universalists this past summer. But first, Reverend Roger will give us some background on the Article 2 of our bylaws.
For most of us, when we become a Unitarian Universalist, we join a local congregation, or we're born into one. We don't join the denomination itself. Yet for many of us, what has drawn us in and inspired us has been the UUA's statement of principles and purposes and the list of spiritual sources of our tradition. We promote the dignity and inherent worth of every person, for example. We affirm a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. And we affirm the image, the reality of a web of existence in which we are interdependent with all beings. These phrases embody a shared understanding of what we are and why we exist as a religious movement. These phrases were never intended to last forever. One version of the UU principles was created in 1961 at the consolidation of those two denominations. About 25 years later, they were expanded and revised. While the earlier wording was bold for the 1960s, by the mid-1980s it came across as exclusively Christian and exclusively male-dominated. Hence, the statements which we know and use now were crafted in 1984 and 85 and adopted by votes of General Assembly delegates. The statements are part of the UUA bylaws, the denomination's bylaws making up Article 2, and the bylaws actually instruct the UUA to review the statement every 15 years and ask the delegates to vote on whether to revise them. Why is this? Because we are a living tradition, a liberal faith. This means that we do not resist or hide from change, but we respond to changing times with clarity and courage and honesty. In the year 2021, the board of our denomination, the UUA, charged a commission to do this review. It charged them to ask our 1,000 congregations to reflect on who we are and where we're going. This work started at General Assembly, which some of our members attended, and we will engage today in thinking about where we are called to be as a religious movement for the future. We have 2 centuries of religious heritage on this continent, and we are a faith that reveres the past, but we trust the dawning future more. These are words of a hymn that is 89 years old. Earlier, I read a poem from the hymnal published in 1937, the project of those 2 earlier denominations, and that hymnal also includes a hymn originally entitled Our Kindred Fellowships. It was written by Marion Franklin Ham in 1933 to celebrate the growing closeness of the Universalist Church in America and the American Unitarian Association. And after those two denominations merged and became the UUA, that song was included in the next hymnal, the Old Blue Hymnal. I remember learning to sing it out of this hymnal when I became a UU in the early 1980s. It began, "As tranquil streams that meet and merge and flow as one to meet the sea, our kindred fellowships unite to build a church that shall be free." It was written in the 1930s during the global depression and the rise of fascism in Europe. It was sung again in the 1960s during the nuclear standoff of the Cold War and the Black freedom struggle in this country. It was revised and included in the new Gray Hymnal in 1993. This past June, our UUA president told us at General Assembly of its relevance for these times of national crisis and global uncertainty. Susan Frederick Gray told us the song is asking, who are we in these times? And who are we called to be as a movement? Let's sing number 145. We'll hear it first.
Oh, wow, you all are there. Good morning, everybody. It's easier when I'm sitting with my back to you than facing all of you. So I'm Marion Randall, and I've been a Unitarian Universalist since the early 90s, and a member of this congregation since 2014. Like all good commissions, task forces, or committees, a charge or a set of instructions that provide parameters or guardrails for their work is issued. Now, to talk about commissions and charges during a Sunday service doesn't really seem like the most spiritual or contemplative thing. But for me, the charge to the Article 2 Commission is both spiritual and very contemplative in nature. This is not your run-of-the-mill administrative letter. Yes, it has due-by dates and such like that, but it's really so much more. It's filled with words of aspiration and inspiration and holds the potential for significant change to what we Unitarian Universalists hold most dear, our Unitarian principles and purposes and sources of inspiration that are located in Article 2. I find this change exciting, or this charge exciting, challenging, and honestly, to some degree, a bit anxiety-producing. The actual charge of the committee is easily a page or more. Don't worry, I'm not going to torture you with that. Instead, I've picked out a few paragraphs to share with you that not only provide important context for this potentially transformational work, but speak to me in ways no other charge letter ever has. As Roger mentioned, the charge to the committee comes from the UUA Board of Trustees. Quote, "The Article 2 Study Commission is hereby charged to review Article 2 of the UUA bylaws and purpose any revisions that will enable our UUA, our member congregations, and our covenanted communities to be a relevant and powerful force for spiritual, moral growth, healing, and justice. Proposed changes should articulate core UU theological values. The board believes that one core theological value shared widely among UUs is love." So the board believes that one core theological value shared amongst us is love. Wow. Right there in writing. Love is a core theological value. It feels right to me. After all, it seems like we talk about this all of the time. And yet, until I read the words of the charge, I never really noticed that the word love is not stated clearly anywhere in our current principles, purposes, etc. I'm excited to see how bringing the value of love from the implied to front and center impacts how we define ourselves. Quote, "Our commitment to personal, institutional, and cultural change rooted in anti-oppression, anti-racism, and multicultural values and practices is love in action and should be centered in any revision of Article 2. Okay. Our commitment to personal, institutional, and cultural change rooted in anti-oppression, anti-racism, and multicultural values and practices is love in action. For me, this is challenging, it's aspirational, it's inspirational. It speaks to the ongoing commitment of Unitarian Universalism to dissenter whiteness and work towards transformation. It reflects the intent of the eighth principle and why our ongoing work to create beloved community is so very important. This right here is what inspires my commitment, my personal commitment to the work of anti-racism, both personally and as a member of the racial justice team working with all of you. Quote, "The new principles and purposes should guide us in the transformation of ourselves, our communities, and our faith into active networks of collective care, restoration, and justice. The principles and purposes you will prepare should be a living document that challenges Unitarian Universalists to place the liberation in all its dimensions of all at the center of our lives. They should be honest about our past, name what we're facing in our aspirations, and where we hope to be, not just for today, but looking out at the horizons. They should ask us to choose love and action as a path forward. Finally, the principles and purposes should lead us into the second quarter of the 21st century while honoring the historic roots of our liberal, progressive faith." It's a lot to think about there. The principles and purposes should lead us into the second quarter of the 21st century while honoring our historic roots of our liberal, progressive faith. This paragraph speaks to one of the things I love about being a Unitarian Universalist, and that is that we have a living tradition. There is not one truth. Things change and evolve, and our faith has both the ability and, I would say, the responsibility for this progression. Of course, change and progress can be both exhilarating and anxiety-producing. What is the new vision, Church 2.0, if you will? What will that look like? Will I fit in? We'll see. Quote, "The Commission is charged with reviewing all sections of Article 2 and is free to revise, replace, or restructure them as needed to meet the objectives stated above. There is nothing sacred about the number of principles or sources, nor their specific wordings, nor in the way that Article 2 is laid out. We encourage creativity. Wow. Exactly. I find these words most illuminating. These words are about the freedom and potential the committee has to create a new future us, to transform the very foundation of Unitarian Universalism. It's really clear that everything is on the table. And honestly, I think many of us don't really relate to or even have much awareness of Article 2 of the bylaws. Most people are like, what? But I do believe that as Unitarian Universalists, we all understand the relevance and the importance of the principles and purposes and sources of inspiration. These are the very things that are at the center of our faith, the things we all hold in common to one degree or another. So let's think about that. There is nothing sacred about the number of principles or sources, nor their specific wordings, nor in the way the Article 2 is laid out. We encourage creativity. You are my people. Zoom people, you're my people. I share my thoughts with you today with the hope of inspiring your interest, your curiosity, and participation in the work of the Article 2 Commission. At the least, I don't want you to be surprised or shocked by the outcome when the work is complete. Who we are and who we will be is a question and a journey that should be shared by us all.
Good morning. My name is Meg Gunderson, and I've been a member of UUSS since January of 2019. This was my first in-person General Assembly, and I wanted to go because as a member of the UUSS Racial Justice and Eighth Principle team, I wanted to see how the adoption of the Eighth Principle and Article 2 review were progressing at the denominational level. Our UUSS strategic plan and Eighth Principle adopted by this congregation a couple of years ago have put us on a path to dismantling racism and building a multicultural, beloved community, an enormous aspirational task. But we've started on this path. Whoa-ya-ya. Part of the work of this task involves looking at how systemic racism and injustice are at play here in our own organization, and how we can recognize them and address them. A first step is recognizing how the dominant culture we all live and breathe keeps us locked into patterns that exclude and oppress us. As an aside, a dominant culture is one that has established its own norms, values, and preferences as the standard for an entire group of people. In our case, in the United States, the dominant culture is white, heterosexual, conforms to gender assigned at birth, able-bodied, male-dominated, Judeo-Christian. That's a lot to recognize and address. Before we left for GA, I attended a talk here by Reverend Dr. Jay Atkinson, sponsored by the Adult Enrichment Team. He's a research scholar at Starr King School for the Ministry. What struck me during his talk was that in the current Article 2, where our principles, purposes, and values are, the word love does not appear. The purposes, values, and principles are simply listed in dry, administrative sounding language, kind of like a set of bylaws. It's very rational. And he also noted that if you were on your deathbed and looking for some inspiration and comfort, you'd hardly be asking for Article 2. How could love not be in Article 2? If we're going to continue on this path of dismantling racism and building multicultural community, how could we not have all the words that inspire and move us? Especially, I'd say, those that encourage us to love and move us to act for justice. Where does the impulse for justice come from if not from love? Before this summer's GA, I imagined the Eighth Principle would simply be added to the list of the other principles in Article 2. But the Article 2 Commission wisely has directed that no, we need to decenter the dominant culture and center love instead. Article 2 is unlikely to look anything like the list of principles, purposes, and values that it is now. For example, I'm going to read 2 sample drafts of language describing our UUA purpose, which will be discussed at General Assembly. I urge you not to get attached to the language of these 2 drafts, but to consider how they attempt to center love and make room for beloved community. So here's draft purpose A. The UUA shall devote its resources to and exercise its organizational powers for religious, educational, and humanitarian purposes. Its primary purposes are to equip congregations for vital ministry, to support and train leaders, both lay and professional, to heal historic inequities, and to advance UU values in the world. We do all this consistent with our theological pluralism. Okay, that's better than a list. Draft purpose B. The UUA's purpose is to grow and resource faith communities that support people through their life's journeys and transform the world by liberating ourselves through love. We make that love real through care and justice for ourselves, for our communities, and for the larger web of existence that we live in. We are called upon to risk ourselves for love. So that first draft is still fairly administrative in nature. The second draft is more inspirational and aspirational, and it includes the word love. If these are prompting you to have a strong opinion, then you now see why the Article 2 Commission's work is so important to us. Consider how centering love in our guiding values, purposes, and principles can enliven us as individuals and as an organization. How can we head down the path of dismantling racism and building multicultural, beloved community without decentering the dominant culture and instead centering love? Whoa, yeah, yeah.
Thank you, Meg. This congregation has a practice of giving away half of our offering every Sunday morning. We give it to 12 community partner organizations doing important work in the local community, one for each month. On the slide, you can see how you can contribute. Our community partner for this month of September is the Mustard Seed School. We will choose 12 new community partners for the next calendar year in October. The vote will start at the October 23 congregational meeting, and you are invited to nominate community partners. And even if you like any of the current community partners, they must be renominated to be on the ballot to be selected. And you can find that on our webpage, on the front page, in the weekly message email, or you can contact the office if you need a paper nomination form. The Mustard Seed School is a not-for-profit independent school, a transitional school for children in families that are homeless. It's operated by and at Loaves and Fishes, and it provides community, care, education, memorable, joyful experiences, and survival resources to those children and their families. So our shared offering will now be given and received. Thank you. As Patty and Melissa bring our offerings forward, please join me in the unison words of response to the offering. May generosity bless our world. May gratitude nourish our spirits.
Susan Frederick Gray is the president of the Unitarian Universalist Association, and she has been a remarkable and inspirational leader during these difficult times. She'll be ending her 6-year term next June when we will elect a new president. And I wanted to start my homily this morning with words that she shared with the gathered assembly last summer. We are in the churn of change. Systems and practices we've relied on are breaking down and shifting. What is needed is being imagined, but not yet here. In times of change and uncertainty and loss, there is a risk that fear will dominate and cause us to cling to the status quo and to systems that no longer serve us, just so that we have a feeling of certainty, the certainty they give, and the fear of moving into this liminal space more fully. But let us remember, we are not a people of fear. We are a people of faith. We are a religious people of imagination and possibility. We are a living tradition. When I hear her words, I feel a stirring of possibility, but also an awareness of the challenge of being in this liminal space, that time between what was and what is not yet. Since the election of Trump in 2016, I have been urging you to recognize that this is a time of crisis and trauma, but also a time of great possibility. It's all broken, and if we have the courage, we can be partners or even leaders in the transformation to something new and wonderful for our world. And in that sharing with you over the past few years, I have often focused on the role of the individual or our church community, what each of us can do to break through fear and move to something new. But what of Unitarian Universalism? What is our role in this changing world? What can we offer in this time of transformation? We are a small denomination. We have less than 1,000 congregations, and frankly, our future is not certain. Our founding principles have not been radically revised for 60 years or more. Imagine what the world was like 60 years ago. We need to determine how Unitarian Universalism can be relevant. Indeed, how Unitarian Universalism can be an agent for change in our world. At our question box service last month, someone asked me if I thought that the arc of the universe was still bending towards justice. These were the words of the 19th century Unitarian minister Theodore Parker, which were used by Martin Luther King in his famous I Have a Dream speech. My answer was, the universe is not going to bend on its own. It's not going to bend towards justice on its own. We need to bend it. The work of the Article 2 Commission is to launch a process to envision the guiding principles for our future, the future of Unitarian Universalism. And one of the questions that the Commission has been asking is, what must we do to pave the way for the future Unitarian Universalism we imagine? We hope that our sermon series will offer some answers to this question. But in order to do so, we have to understand In order to understand where we're going, we have to understand where we have come from, our history, the good, the bad, and the inspiring. And there is plenty of all of that in the more than 200 years of Unitarianism and Universalism. We need to understand who we are now, our culture, our theology, and sort out what will move us forward and what will hold us back. This is the task of the sermon series this year and the task of the commission. Their work is ongoing now with a vote on a draft proposal this summer at the General Assembly. And if approved, there will be a year of study with the final vote in the summer of 2024. If you want to learn more about the commission, I encourage you to check out the UUA website, uua.org. They will be hosting some sessions in the coming week to get your input on the draft language, some of which Meg shared with you this morning. I urge you to participate. Imagine you could be on the ground floor of developing the next set of principles and purposes that are the guiding vision for our future. We will post the link to these sessions on our webpage and in the weekly message this Friday. What will we need on this journey of discovery of the future of Unitarian Universalism? Humility. The humility required to look at ourselves honestly. We will need courage to reach outside of our comfort zones. We will need imagination about what the possibilities could be for our future. And we need each other to comfort, challenge, encourage, support, and love. Love should be at the center of this process, just like it should be at the center of who we are as Unitarian Universalists. I want to close again with the words of Susan Frederick Gray. In this liminal time of letting go of what has been, in that middle space in between, we reach for what is next and create it together. Who will we be? How are we called? How is love calling us? What I witnessed in the time of struggle and uncertainty is a fiery flame of vitality. This courage growing in us, this spiritual renewal in depth growing from our theological foundations. This practice of leaning into partnership and interdependence like never before. For 5 years now, I have said that this is no time for a casual faith, and it is no time to go it alone. Now is the time to realize that we were made for this moment, that we are the people that we have been waiting for. So may it be. Blessed be, and amen. Wake Now My Senses is a beloved UU hymn. It was written by the minister Thomas Michelson in 1981, and each verse resonates with a different aspect of UU theology. So let us rise in body or spirit and sing together hymn number 298.
extinguish this flame, but we carry the love and commitment and hope of this gathering into the world with us in the days to come.
Let's reach out to each other, reach out to our community, reach out to the future. If you have found or heard something inspiring in our time together this morning, let it plant a small flame in your heart and spirit. Let it plant a flame that allows you to engage and reflect and be present as we tackle these critical questions about our future. And may you never forget these words, hold them in your heart. Now is the time to realize we were made for this moment, that we are the people we have been waiting for. Blessed be.